What's cracking, everybody? New video. I actually tried to record this video yesterday, um, but for whatever reason it wouldn't upload. So here I am again today. Same video. Um, Everyone's been asking about Rene Enriquez, boxer, and I feel like every channel pretty much has done something on him, right? And it's all related to his release or his possible release. But I'm gonna tell a different story. A story about him. So I was in New Folsom, and it was 2002. I received a huila. It had come down from Pelican Bay. A huila is a kite or a note, right? And in that huila, there was a list, and it was a list of 6 names, and all 6 were legends. Um, and Boxer was one of them, right? But it wasn't just him. It was 5 other ones, and there was a few of those names that were. It was very surprising to see those names, right? And the reason why that huila went out was to make sure that those individuals would no longer receive money, and that everyone would know they were no longer to be recognized as anything, right? So I told my Sally, I was like, damn, me trip out on this. And I showed him. And he asked me, he goes, is this real? I said, absolutely it's real. Because I knew where it came from. And he said, you know what? Fuck Boxer. And he said, now that I know this, he goes, let me tell you a story. And my Sally was from White Fence. You know, those of you that aren't aware, White Fence Stab Auditor has been around for about 100 years, right? And so he tells me, he says, look, also, my Sally was a tecato. He used heroin, right? So he tells me, he says, hey, when Boxer got out, he was running around in my neighborhood, in my barrio. He was running around all through White Fence. He said, you know, one morning I was sick. I was malias. I needed a fix so I can get well, you know, just so I can go and, you know, get through the day. He goes, so I, you know, hustled up a little bit of money. He goes, I went into the Connect. He goes, and when I was in the Connect, he goes, there was a few people in there waiting to score. He said, as we were waiting, he said a bunch of fucking cars pulled up. He goes, and the Connect looked and was like, fuck, and started trying to push shit away. And he told me when Boxer rolled around, he rolled around with like 3 cars. His car, and then he had 2 carloads of pistoleros, shooters, right? So my Sally says as he's looking, he sees all the shooters get out. When they get out of the car, they have guns in their hand, rifles in their hand, and then Boxer got out. Boxer walked into the dope house with his pistoleros, and as soon as he came through the door, he said, I want everything. And, you know, he wasn't asking for a cut for what he represented. He was asking for everything for himself. And so he did. He stripped everybody out. He stripped out the whole dope house. And my Sally told me it became a habit of his, right? And so my Sally was like, you know, we respected who he was supposed to be representing, but he didn't respect where he was at. He goes, we're White Fence. We've been around before everything. And he said that as Boxer kept doing this, that there was a crew in his neighborhood that made a decision. And it's one of the most drastic, stupid decisions that anybody in that world can make. And the decision was they were going to kill Boxer. They knew that killing Boxer would get a green light on their neighborhood. would get a lot of people in their neighborhood killed. In the end, would cost them money, drugs, and guns, and a lot of their own blood. And they were willing to go ahead and make that sacrifice because they felt enough is enough. He's not doing it on behalf of what he is. He's doing it for himself because he's a pig and he's disrespecting us. So we're going to disrespect him. So they got the crew together and they went on the hunt. But as they came to this decision, hey, we're going to fucking kill this dude, the murders happened that he got busted for. Him killing someone saved his life. Isn't that a trip? Now, knowing that, imagine had those murders happen a week or more down the line, maybe even a day later, maybe he would have got hit. Had Boxer Enriquez got hit by White Fence, all the damage that he did would have never been done. Who knows what the CDC would be like had he not done what he did? Because I don't think a lot of people understand. I'll give you 2 examples of stuff that changes that happened because of him. One of the first things that we had heard that he had done was he told the administration to shut down the library in Pelican Bay. Because it used to be where you would go to the library, the law library, and everybody would see everybody. You would see people from other buildings, and a lot of communication was handled through there. After he defected, what happened was you only went with your building. And then they narrowed it down even more to where you basically only went with your section, who you lived with. There's only 8 cells in a section. And what they would do is, whether you talked or not, you would get a write-up for communication in the law library, and you would get restricted from law library access for 90 days. So it was a huge hamper in communication there. Another thing that was done, which was fucking brilliant, was before it was, so in the 90s to the early 2000s, if you went to Ad Seg, if you went to the hole, there was group yard, right? And it was dead serious. Like, if there was an issue at hand, you knew. If it wasn't your business, do not stick your nose in it, because you get hit quick. They ain't playing back there. What they wound up doing is they started installing dog cages, dog kennels, and that was yard. So they would have 10 of them in a row, and you went into the dog cage with your cellie and no one else, if you had a cellie. So what that did was, when an issue would come up that needed to be investigated and handled, people that had no business in it would put in their 2 cents. And see, when they would put in their 2 cents, then that had to be investigated. And that would slow investigations down. That would create conflict amongst, it would cause just in-house conflict that was unnecessary. And the only reason why it was happening is because these dudes knew they couldn't be touched. That was serious right there. Like, I don't think you guys even understand how serious that was, how frustrating that was. And it was just one of the, those are just 2 of the changes that had a huge impact on the way things were done in the CDC. So anyways, for those that keep asking if he gets out, I don't think he'd ever commit another crime. But I do know that he will get a new name, a new identity, and live in a new state. So I don't get the infatuation with his status or where he's going. I think we all need to just worry about where we're at and where we're going, right? With that said, be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out.